Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, and this is possibly our last one of these videos. The reason for that is Second Dinner announced a change to card acquisition that they have long been promising. That change will happen either on the April 29th, the end of next month. It will happen at that patch or the patch at the very beginning of June. We're going to cover this month as if it's possible that things change both at the end of the month and the month after, and how we do things is going to depend on when that change happens. So I'm going to give you the best advice I can in this uncertain time. If you're curious about what those changes are and want them broken down in extreme detail, I had a video that does that for you yesterday that should be linked right around me right now. So if you're interested, please do check out that video. It's going to explain the changes, what they are, why I'm so optimistic about them. I think that card acquisition of Marvel Snap will finally be solved with these new changes. However, that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're here to talk about is the April cards, so let's kick it off. But first, I have to ask you to hit that sub button if you're willing. I give you more Marvel Snap videos than anyone. This week will be 10 videos. You heard that right. 10 videos in 7 days. Please make sure that, actually 11 videos, excuse me, math is hard. Please make sure that if you want the most Marvel Snap content, the most thorough Marvel Snap content, you hit that sub, you like, and you comment. It does so much to help support the channel. And in return, this week we are giving away a Captain Carter every single day. All you have to do is sub, like, and comment. A person who comments in every single video will win Captain Carter, including this video. Real simple. The question for winning the season pass on this very video will be, which of the cards for this coming season are you most excited for? Let's get to talking about them, but one last thing. The Hateful Hulk, congrats, you are our last Agamotto giveaway winner. Please reach out to me in one of the ways on the screen. All right, it's finally time for the season pass card. This is the season pass card for April. It is Captain Carter, and I keep calling her Agent Carter. I'm going to have to get Captain Carter through my head. This is a 4/3 ongoing. Add this card's power to your back row cards here. So what you would like to do here is get Captain Carter in the front row. Not always the easiest thing on turn 4, but doable. You would like to get Captain Carter in the front row. If you can get her in the front row, she's going to give +3 to the back row. That's really good. Obviously, that makes her play as at least a 3/9, but there's lots of ways we can make her more than that. She has ongoing synergy. She is an ongoing card. That means cards like Iron Man are going to love this. Iron Man not only doubles her to 6, but it's going to double itself to 6. She and Iron Man, with even another card in front, is going to be absolutely lane winning. Captain America is going to buff her, and then her buff is going to push the buff to the back row. So Captain America will make her a 5 power card, and then she's going to give 5 power to the back row, making Captain America an 8 power card. That's amazing. Blue Marvel's going to buff her, any cards like that. But it's not just ongoing buffs. Any permanent buffs are going to work too. If you can play her in the location that gives +1 at the end of every turn, bada boom, she's giving that +1 extra to the back row as well. If you give her to Spectrum, if you can hit her with Spectrum, she's going to get +2 herself and give an extra +2 to both of those back row cards. Sam Shield does not, in fact, buff her, but Sam Shield is a great way to make sure she ends up in the front row. It lets you play something on turn 2. You can play her with Sam and then move cards out of the way, and then like she'll just jump to the front when you move the shield, and problems are solved. She's got a ton of synergy with other cards releasing this month, Goliath and Dum Dum Dugan. We'll talk about them later this video. She's also probably really great with Doombot 2099. I could easily see you playing her, and then some Doombops pop up behind her, and they start with 3 power now instead of 1. That seems like it's potentially huge. I'm fine with her being my 1 card I play if she's giving that big a buff. If hand buff ever really works, she's going to be great with hand buff cards, because that's like getting multiple cards for the price of 1, and being able to do that with her seems really good. Like if you played her in a lane and then you played Brood after her, you just basically played Galacta on that Brood, right? She's more specific than recent season pass cards. I think she's largely going to be an ongoing dex, but she's enough power and got enough stuff going for her that I feel like she could make ongoing tier 1, and I think she's going to be really, really great. All right, we've got some math for you as far as what the season pass means based on our understanding of what the system is. There's a new system, and we don't know exactly what the math will be based on it. We do know, however, that as far as we're aware, the season pass is not changing. So the season pass is the best value in Marvel Snap. It is absolutely absurd value. Here's what that means. A Series 5 card is worth 6,000 tokens or 2.5 keys. You just save that. By buying the season pass card, you get an extra 6,000 tokens or 2.5 keys worth of value. It's worth knowing that 2.5 keys is right now a little more than 6,000 tokens. It's actually 8,000 tokens? No, 9,000 tokens, because token keys are going to convert themselves into 3,000 tokens once the new system comes in. You're also going to get an extra 300 credits, which is not a lot, but not nothing, and 1,550 gold. Assuming you finish your recommissions, 1,550 gold is enough to really, really push you toward getting another Series 4 card. You also get a ton of cosmetics. You get 3 exclusive variants, 1 premium mystery variant, and 2 mystery variants, 3 avatars, 2 titles, 1 card back, and 1 border. That's 5,800 gold worth of cosmetics, which is wild. With cosmetics, the season pass is worth $294.81. Without the cosmetics, the season pass is still worth $122.31. So if you're spending any money on the game in any way, shape, or form, the season pass is giving you well over 10 times value. Cost $9.99. It's 19.5 value or 12.24 times value, depending on how much you value cosmetics. There's no other value in the game that even approaches just buying the season pass every month. We're going to need to redo at least a little bit of this math after this month, but as the system is now, it was possible, because I know people that did it, that only bought the season pass and then grinded and spent their gold intelligently, not missing missions, using gold explicitly for the best values, and they were all at least meta complete, and some of them were card complete. It's unlikely that the new system lets you be completely complete in that way. However, it is fairly likely that the new system is going to let you get way, way, way more cards if you just buy that season pass. It is the best value. I cannot urge you to buy it enough if you can in any way, shape, or form afford it. Obviously, some of you are students, some of you are in parts of the world where $9.99 American is a lot more money. I'm not saying you should buy it. I'm saying that if you can afford this and you play regular Marvel Snap, this is amazing value and you should get it. All right, next up we have the Peggy Carter, the Captain Carter deck of the day. This is where I'm going to start with the card. We're going to have a few Captain Carter decks or Captain Carter-esque decks around here because I do think she's going to go in ongoing. This is fundamentally where I want to start. I want to start her with the standard ongoing. I just want to cut Anti-Venom from this and see if Captain Carter can replace it in this shell. This is an Ika shell that he created. It's been one of the best decks all season. I think Captain Carter is going to be really, really good here. You should be able to do the Sam Wilson or Gorgon into Captain Carter, playing other cards in other lanes, and then you drop other cards. You drop an Iron Man or a Captain America behind Captain Carter, and you should be able to go through the roof. Mystique also seems like a reasonable card to copy Captain Carter into a different lane to be able to give massive power in 2 lanes, especially if you're going to play Spectrum. Obviously, that second lane should also have the Mystique lane, should also have Captain America at that point. But there are a lot of ways to get a lot of power out of this card, and I'm very curious how it works in the shell. I do think ongoing is going to be a meta deck. Start packing your enchantresses now, or just get ready. Next up, we've got yet another ongoing card. This one releases the same week and day as Captain Carter. It is Goliath. It's a 2/1 ongoing, +1 power for each other ongoing card you have in play. This is straight up huge in an ongoing deck. Let's look back at this deck. We are running Ravonna Renslayer, which is going to make Goliath cheaper, and Gorgon, just because Gorgon is decent into the meta, and Captain America Sam Wilson. This deck wants Goliath, right? Like, this deck pretty badly wants Goliath. If you play an Ant-Man on 1, let's say you don't hit well on 2. You play a Goliath on 2, so we're not going to count that. You play Cap on 3, Cap on 4, Iron Man and Spectrum. You paid 5, and you have Sam Shield, that is 6 ongoings. You now have a 2/7. You've played Sam Wilson, right? 2/7's a ton of power. This is awesome. So everything we said about Agent Carter is true of this. It works really well. This seems really good. It's at least a 2/5, but with Doombots or other buffs, it could be more. And again, we did the math. It's very likely to be a 2/6, 2/7. You can play multiple cards in a turn if you want to make it even bigger. Sam Wilson is going to auto buff this. Again, the second you play this, it's a 2/2 because Sam Shield is going to buff it. This is the easiest deck with the home ever. Ongoing decks that were stuck with like Dazzler now have a much easier scaler. I'm really excited for this with Doom 2099, and we're going to get to decks. But first, I want to talk about the Spotlight caches and how we should be looking at Spotlights right now. I think if you don't have Goliath, and you have Gwenpool and Cersei, unless you are flush with resources, you should probably be saving your spotlight caches. If you can afford to buy it with tokens, you should buy it. If you only need one card for this month, I think you're better off just using your tokens in order to buy it, because your spotlight keys are going to transfer at a rate that is higher than just buying one card. You're going to get, they're worth 2.5 to 2.8 uh 2.5 to 2.8 thousand tokens, you're getting 3,000 tokens for them. That means if you have enough spotlight keys, you're getting a lot of extra value out of that. So that said, I think unless you are missing Gwenpool or Cersei, you should absolutely be using tokens or waiting for Goliath. I think if you are missing Gwenpool and Goliath, it's an easy open. And if you're missing Cersei and Goliath, then I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about Cersei. I know some people like her, but she hates me, so I'm not the biggest fan. As far as card quality goes, Cersei is fine. She's a good card, but not a great one. Meanwhile, Gwenpool is definitely a great card. However, Gwenpool might be pushed out of the meta by the week after this is card, which is going to make this a complicated card to recommend. I do think if you like ongoing decks, Goliath is good enough to be worth going out of your way for, and then you should risk Gwenpool. I'm less sold on the Cersei combination. I am flush with resources and a jerk, and I'm 1,000% making sure I get this Gwenpool. It's amazing. All right, this is the Captain Goliath going. We made Captain Latveria. It was the Doom 2099 Spectrum deck that was meta forever. Well, what happens when we add Goliath to it? Bet you the deck works again. That's what we're betting on here by playing this deck. I think we're going to want more new cards, but I try to only put one new card in these decks to sort of show. Like, could this deck afford to run Captain Carter? I mean, it's going to definitely run Super Skrull right now, right? Like, we're 1,000% running Super Skrull in what is likely to be an ongoing meta because Super Skrull should be wildly good. But like Goliath just gets all that extra power back. Every Doombot gives Goliath one power. So now you're going a little taller in that Goliath lane instead of shorter in that Doombot lane, and you've solved a major problem that the deck has. Perfect. Enjoy it. It's great. We also end up with Blood on My Shield. This is our friend Safety Blades deck. This is one of the better Gwenpool decks in the game right now. I think that this list is absolutely stellar. It's very hard to beat. Cannonball outside of Clog is brilliant right now because no one ever expects it. People play around Shang and then you just cannonball them and you're able to steal a ton of extra cubes that way. Sorry, little crackly right now. Uh, this deck is amazing, and I think you do need Gwenpool for it. Gwenpool is needed for a lot of this type of mid-range good stuff shell. I believe KM Best calls these the season passlers. So, like, all these different decks that just run a million season pass cards, this one runs Zabu, Iron Patriot, Sam, Elsa, Hope, Ms. Marvel, Galacta, and Gwenpool. That's 8 cards that used to be season passes. Yet another reason to just buy the damn season pass. Those cards are incredible. But at the end of the day, getting Gwenpool gives you access to these decks, assuming you have Galacta. If you don't have Galacta, Gwenpool is like fairly significantly less useful to you. Next up, we have Ika Aga Annie. This is an Ika deck that's running Cersei that I had a lot of success with. It's an Annihilus list. You If you like a Nihilist deck, Cersei has a lot of value there because Cersei gives you something extra to do with that void. So if you don't draw a Nihilist, so you can just, instead of playing a Nihilist, or they fill the location, you can play Cersei and turn it into a random 5-drop, which usually works out pretty damn well unless you get unlucky and hit Hobgoblin, which I do all the time for some reason. This is a powerful list. If you have access to it and you want to play it, then Cersei really does help. However, the big caveat here is you can probably just run Lady Deathstrike relatively similarly, because if they're rushing to fill that lane, they're probably playing some cheap stuff, and at that point, your Lady Deathstrike's going to play for a lot of power anyway. So Cersei's nice here, but not a requirement, and this list is good, but not great. Next up, we have Kahhori. Right away, I just want you to know this is my pick for card of the month. I am in love with this card. 4/6 on reveal, each card in your hand gives one of your cards in play +1 power. And yes, according to the pre-release video, it can hit the same card more than once, which is just wildly powerful. I am so excited for this card because we have so few good power 4-drops. So if you can keep your hand full and play her, you're going to get at least 410 in power, as in she's going to give you a +6. So you almost always end up with 4 cards in hand in Marvel Snap, so she's going to be a 410 to a 412 in terms of power, as long as you have literally any cards on the board. If you want to direct her in specific places, you can just play one card. You can drop her, and then you can drop Sebastian Shaw and then drop her and watch it go vroom. There's a lot of powerful things you can do with her that are really cool. She's going to be amazing with Victoria Hand style nonsense. Kate Bishop loves her. You play Kate Bishop, you play whatever, then you play her. You have these extra 2 cards in hand. Same thing for Agent Coulson if you want, and that you're giving yet a bigger buff to everything. And then if you play Victoria Hand, you can then buff all those extra cards you made. Things like Devil Dinosaur like this too. I'm pretty sure Devil Dinosaur is still not going to be good enough, but Victoria Hand almost certainly is. This is also, just in case you forgot, if you play this on the Kate Bishop, you can run a card like Odin after it. And then if you Odin it, you're going to get that buff a second time, which is just completely insane. So she's just this big board-wide power spike that's very often going to be Shang-Chi immune. Once in a while, you're going to get unlucky and she's going to get something so big it can be Shang. But she's this giant, big power spike all over the board that's completely awesome. This seems like a better Gwenpool to me because the cards that this hits are already in play. Gwenpool could hit anything, right? I've spent a ton of time trying to have Gwenpool hit like a Mysterio and hit all the cards around the Mysterio. It's not really a problem here. This is just going to hit the damn board, and it's going to hit it for a lot of power. I am in love. Moon Girl's going to love this. This card is so cool. All right, so this card comes with one really good card and one card I don't think we need. People are trying to make Cull Obsidian work again with the recent change to, not Surtur, to Sauron. Wrong S word. With the recent change to Sauron, people are currently trying to make Cull Obsidian work again. He's a Series 4 card. I don't think he's that great. I think the Sam Wilson change may have semi-killed him. He's not even going in Thanos decks anymore. Hydra Bob is probably still the best generic one-drop in Marvel Snap. It's basically, like, Zabu's a compo piece, right? You're trying to use that when you have a bunch of 4s. But Hydra Bob's still an excellent one-drop, that one that you should be looking to get. And that comes with Kahhori. So if you don't have Hydra Bob and need Kahhori, I think that's an easy open. If you don't have Cull Obsidian and don't have Kahhori, use tokens or just wait. All right, this is a deck that we're going to talk more about tomorrow because this is like my favorite deck right now. This is Rorem's Lokimoto Kahhori. This deck used to run Gwenpool. I said, no Gwenpool, let's run Kahhori because I've got draw cards. I've got King Eitri, and I've got Kate Bishop, and I've got Iron Patriot. So I should be able to run Kahhori and just get extra power. If I find that I want more cards in hand, I can replace Copycat. Copycat's not terribly important here. And now I've just got all my cheap stuff that isn't really a threat is suddenly a threat. If I add 6 to Hawkeye and I've got a 2/9 and then a 4/6, I feel like I'm in pretty damn good shape. I'm excited to try this. I think this is going to be absolutely stellar. I think this card also might go really well with Iron Patriot on turn 3, just for the record. Very powerful card. I'm excited for Kahhori. This will be the shell I begin with her in. Then we have our first deck for Hydra Bob. This is a Good Cards Disrupt. This is from our friend JD McDonaldinho. This is, in my opinion, the current deck that most just really wants Hydra Bob. He's the only one-drop in the deck, and you want that extra one-drop that's got some movability for Ms. Marvel, plus he's a decent amount of power. This deck is excellent. It is one of the better lists in the game right now. Check if you want the top 10 decks in Marvel Snap, by the way, check yesterday's video. This is one of them. That last one is an alteration on one of them. So this is, again, very worth having. Less worth having, I couldn't really find a great list that ran Cull. This is a decent Thanos list that runs Cull Obsidian. It's fine. You can run Cull and Thanos. With this much Shang in the meta, I don't know if you want to. Hey, I'll be going live at some point today. Make sure you're following on twitch.tv/PulseLaser. Come hang out with me. You're going to have a great time. We always have a blast. All right, next up, we've got Infinity Ultron, and this card is just cool. 5/6 on reveal, add 2 Ultron stones to your hand. And let's talk about what his stones do. So on turn 6, you will have 2 of the following. Ultron Space Stone is a 3/4. Move the lowest power of any card here to Infinity Ultron. So assuming that the Infinity Ultron lane has space, that's going to just chuck a card away from there. Seems pretty good. Has some synergies with cards like Craven and name of card escapes. Scream. Can let you play a Miles, whatever else, if there's 7 turns or you have extra energies. So, okay, not terrible. Ultron Reality adds a drone here, set its power to Infinity Ultron. That seems good. Even getting a 3/6 on the last turn seems nice. But there's plenty of ways to buff Infinity Ultron or play Infinity Ultron on a lane that gives them more power, where that drone can be a real threat. Ultron's Time Stone is on reveal. Put a card from your hand here. Sure, that seems good. Turn Ultron Mind is ongoing. Your on reveal abilities happen twice. Cool. That doesn't say here, so that's amazing. Just that turn, which means a lot of the other stones are going to happen twice. Ultron Time is now going to put 2 cards into play. You're now going to move 2 cards away with Ultron Space. Reality doesn't do anything. But the big one is Ultron Power will now make Ultron a 24 power card if you've got Ultron Mind and Ultron Power, which seems like it's pretty damn good and game winning. There's also Ultron Soul, which is really cool in that it sort of relates to old Ultron. For each full location, give a card there plus 2 power, which is just a way to get extra power into locations. I think all these are cool. Infinity Ultron seems like he's super fun. He doesn't seem all that great to me. Ramp decks are going to love this though. Getting this out on turn 4, the combos start to get a little bit nutty, and I think we're talking about good machine decks, sort of the War Machine, Electro style decks that are really going to like that. Quinjet is going to discount the stones, which all cost 3. So if you get that lets you go 2/2/2 on the last turn of the game, which has some decent value. You could use cards like Wong to get extra stones since they synergize so well. If you've got Quinjet and then you play Ultron on Wong, you're going to get 3 stones. But you get 4 stones, but you can choose 3 to play, which is good. These stones are also all 3s, so that means Surfer seems reasonable. Largely because Luna Snow is in Surfer decks. We've recently seen a lot of weird Surfer decks. We have a Surfer Ajax list that's floating around, Surfer that runs Sarah and Luna. That way it can just sort of cheat out the Ajax or Sarah and have extra energy to do all the combos at once. So I can see Infinity Ultron working that way. Infinity Ultron does come with 2 Series 4 cards. One of them is terrible, the recently buffed to 2/2 Pixie. Yuck. And then we have the awesome Cannonball, who's a 5/8. Cannonball is a Series 4 card, but it's one you really, really, really do want to own. Cannonball was in a deck we talked about already today. He is one of the better 5-drops in Marvel Snap. And if Infinity Ultron ends up another of the better 5-drops, plus one of the cooler cards, there we go. I do think Infinity Ultron is going to end up worse than Agamotto, but that's a reasonable card to compare it to. All right, so I decided to put together an Ultron Surfer list as the way I'm going to do this. Did I forget to put Luna in here? The whole point of this deck was Luna Snow, and then I didn't put Luna in here. Ay, 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 ay. All right, let's all, everybody, let's use our imaginations. Cassandra Nova, see that Cassandra Nova? That's Luna Snow. Good. So what you're going to do is you're going to play Luna Snow, and then you're going to be able to go Sarah or Infinity Ultron, and then you're just going to have the ability to sort of go off. If you can go Quinjet and Sarah, your Infinity Ultron stones are 1. You can play 2 of those, right? And you can still play 2 more 3s. So that's wild. You should be able to get a ton of power that way, while Infinity Ultron's just going to be this huge threat. You love to see it. Yes, that's a perfect draw, but it's so cool you gotta at least try it, right? Quinjet into Luna, Quinjet into whatever, Forge, who cares? Into Luna, into Sarah, into Infinity Ultron, into 2 stones, and then I don't know, Brood Surfer just seems amazing. So let's go. I'm really, really hyped about this kind of list. I love weird off-meta surfers. We've again, if you check yesterday's video, we've got the best like regular meta surfer, but then we also have a Bullseye surfer and an Ajax surfer, 2 different lists that are super freaking cool and top meta. So I think different surfers, off-meta surfers, can really, really compete. If you want to play Cannonball, this is the obvious Cannonball list. This is the standard ass Scream list. Cannonball goes in it. He is not 1,000% a requirement, but he does make the list much better, and Scream is one of the cheaper decks to get into. So again, I urge you to strongly consider this. Then finally, we have Cersika. This is a Pixie list. I don't think Pixie lists are good, but this is one our friend Ika made, and it's pretty solid. If you get Cersei, you can play this. I don't think you should get this, but that's where we are. Next up, we have Strange Supreme, the 2/2. Gains +2 power from merging and a turn. Merge one of your creator cards into this. So it's going to eat stuff. It will keep the card it eats power and then add 2 to that. So this is going to get really, really big if you play it early. The question remains, is it going to be worth playing with like Kate Bishop and Squirrel Girl? It's going to take away the extra synergies that those have, but it is going to give you space to play those cards. It seems like it could be decent with Thanos. But like the problem is if it's eating all the stones you play with Thanos, you want to play Mockingbird, right? If you're playing it in Zoo, you want to play Marvel Boy, or if you're playing with Victoria Hand, you want those cards on the board. Maybe this finally makes Penny Parker good. I don't think so. This seems good against junk or random locations at the very least. I'm not sold on this card. I think this is the weakest card this month, is my immediate reaction. However, it does come with 2 very powerful ongoing cards, and we had all that ongoing synergy at the beginning of the month, so there is that as far as things go. Speed was all over the place, but has fundamentally been cut from most of the ongoing decks, as the 3-cost tech cards have just found more and more value. It's hard to not run Mobius or Cosmo or Luke and instead run Speed, even if Speed is obviously more power. While US Agent gives you access to a couple of other decks, I don't think any of these are really worth getting. This is probably the easiest skip week of the month to me. All right, so Strange Supreme, this is the deck I came up with. It's a hand buff deck. You often run out of space in this deck, right? And you're not really buffing anything once it's on the board. All the buffs happen while they're in hand or as they get played. So if that's the case, then we might as well just eat them. That's basically what this deck says, and so we stuck Strange Supreme in here. This list is fine. It's not very good, but here we are. Next up, we have small good cards, and this list is amazing. It can run Red Guardian and Cosmo in the Luke and Mobius spots. It alters based on what the meta is, but this deck is one of the best decks in the game and has been for a very, very long time. This exact version is our friend Burr's version. Burr's has been too busy to play lately, and so he's falling in rank, but he was in the top 10/20, just in that general area, floating between 10 and 20 with this list for most of the season. It's still one of the best lists in Marvel Snap and has an answer for everything, and US Agent is very important in it because it's a 2 that operates sort of as a mini Shang-Chi. Then we've got the Chamo list from last season. He played this at the end of last season. This is a reasonable home for speed. Speed would be cut if we rebuilt this list today, though, right? Rocket and Groot has basically taken all of Speed's equity in regular decks, and ongoing decks, again, don't really use it. But Speed's still a cool card, at least. All right, our last card that we're going to talk about, and then we've got to tier everything, and then we've got to talk about acquiring everything, is Hydra Stomper. Hydra Stomper is a 3/2 ongoing +1 power for each card you move to this game. This one might come out the same day as the new system for card acquisition. If it does, it will not be in a spotlight, and you will just be able to get this for 6,000 tokens or use the new Snap Pack system to get it. And again, if you want Snap Pack system, please make sure you check yesterday's video for a further explanation. We don't know how much that's going to cost. So for the time being, we do assume that Series 5 cards will still be 6,000 tokens. So if you just want to buy this out right at 6,000 tokens, and we know that if this is in spotlights, it's going to be the week from hell for playing. We don't know what Aranya variant, but this is Datamind. It's coming with Aranya and Madam Web, pretty cool Madam Web variant, along with this Hydra Stomper. These cards all together are sort of going to be a nightmare week of everyone playing move and move bounce, and I don't really want to deal with that. I don't know if you do, but I don't super want to deal with that. I think that seems like it's very, very not fun at all. So uh, hopefully the new system comes out and I don't have to deal with that. If this week exists, Madam Web and Aranya give you immediate access to some of the best decks in the game, and Hydra Stomper very well might fit in those decks. He's a 3/2, not a 3/1, by the way. So move decks are going to really love this. But I don't know what it doesn't care if you own the card. Okay. Sizer started running Craven in Move, and it was huge. This card is an easier to play Craven, which seems amazing to me because you have to move things on Craven, right? As long as you're moving things at all, this is going to get bigger, which seems huge. Scream decks are perfectly fine having another scale or two. This might find a spot as one of the 3 spots there. And this is Heimdall's new bestie. Any deck that even considers running Heimdall runs this because then all of a sudden you've got like a 3/7, 3/8. This is the deck that I'm going to run it in. I basically took Craven out and put Hydra Stomper in. It's entirely possible to run both, though I don't know what that last cut would be. This is just so much scaling. Maybe it's actually Dagger. And we just say, we're going to fricking scale, deal with it. Every move is going to be plus 3 power because I'm going to get 1 on Hydra Stomper and then 2 on Craven. Like, that seems silly. This deck seems silly. I don't know. I think this card might end up being a mistake. We'll see. But I think this card might end up being a mistake, especially if it comes out with Aranya and Madam Web, and everyone can just straight up be like, look, I have the deck. Everything else in this deck except Goliath is Series 3, and Goliath is perfectly replaceable by Juggernaut. Our card that will be coming out this season in whatever mode, Voltage, Diner, yada yada, will be Dum Dum Dugan, who is ongoing. Your cards in the front row here have +1 power, updated to a 2/3 base. He will not work on himself, much like the others. The problem is on turn 2, it's very hard to not make him be in the front row. And then later in the game, you don't really want to play him. You want to play other more powerful things. So I'm not sure how to make this work. If you could reliably get this in the back row, I think it's pretty good. I just don't think that's really easy. This can go into any Captain Carter deck. If it can go behind Captain Carter somehow, that is, he's going to buff Captain Carter, who's going to rebuff him, and that's reasonably strong. A 2/4 isn't bad, right? Like if you can get him going, he'd be a 2/5 actually because he's a 2/3 himself, right? And then he's going to give 2 power in the front, so 2/5 is good. It's just the want to play it early and not really being able to. If you play him in the front, you just play it a 2/3, and at that point, I'd rather play like any other card. I don't know. I don't think this one's it. Um, that deck we talked about earlier with Captain Carter can run Dugan. I'd probably just stick Goliath in this deck instead though, and call it a day. All right. Let's tier every card this month. Shout outs to our friend Docty, who I used to do this with before he left Marvel Snap. So your must-have cards are Madam Web, if it's here, Agent Carter, and Goliath. I think Agent Carter, both being the season pass, and I think making ongoing decks meta will be must-have. I also think Goliath is must-have for the same reason. Our solid buys are Aranya, Kahhori, and Cannibal. I think Kahhori probably ends up must-have with Agent Carter and Goliath, but in case I'm wrong, actually, that was before the video. I think I'd put Kahhori into the must-have. I think the beginning of this month is much, much, much stronger than the end of the month. Did I not put Ultron here? Yes, I did. Good, good, good. Aranya is a solid buy here because, again, she gives you part of that deck. We don't know if these cards will be out, but they're amazing. Cannibal is an A tier card. It's just one of the best cards in Marvel Snap. Hydra Stomper seems like a B tier card. It seems great, but the move deck doesn't need it because it puts out more power than anything anyway. Making it better is nice, but not pivotal. US Agent is great, but not pivotal. Gwenpool probably would be A, except I think that Kahhori is going to be S. So those two cards are going to push and pull on each other, and we'll see how that works out. Hydra Bob is a B. It's a really good generic one, but like whatever. It's 1,000% replaceable. It's not a 1/5 anymore when it was S. And Infinity Ultron, I'm not sure how good that's going to be. That's an extremely high variance card. I think it's likely to land like Agamotto, where it's a really, really good card and a really, really fun card, but not a great one. Cards that are fine if they suit you, but whatever. Speed, Strange Supreme, Cersei, and Club City at least have decks. But I don't think Dum Dum Dugan or Pixie, and they just buffed Pixie, but even then, I don't think either one of those is worth getting. All right, so target the highest tier stuff. Duh. So the season pass is the most important thing in the card to the most important thing in the game to buy, and it is not in any way, shape, or form close. Goliath seems great, and Gwenpool is must own unless Kahhori takes her lunch, while Cersei is fine. That's my basic overview of that week. Kahhori is my card of the month. Cull is a series 4 and lacks a real home, but Hydra Bob is absolutely top tier filler. So those weeks are relatively close. You do get an extra series 5 out of the Goliath week, but I think Kahhori is more generally useful than Goliath. I have no idea for Infinity Ultron. It is the card I am most lost on. It seems mostly good in ramp. Pixie barely exists, so even with the buff, whatever. And Cannonball is an absolute top tier card, although it is Series 4. Strange Supreme seems actively mid. Speed may be back with ongoing support, but is replaceable, and US Agent is really good. So I suggest Goliath week is more or less equal to Kahhori week. It depends what you need. If you only need Goliath and Gwenpool and Kahhori and Hydra Bob, I think I would go with the Kahhori week. Um, if you need Goliath, Gwenpool, and Cersei, and then you need all three of the Kahhori week, I think I'd go with the Goliath week, but it's real close. I think those are probably better than the Ultron week. Pixie is junk, but at least you get Cannonball out of it. And I don't care at all about the Supreme week. I think it's like a week and a week card. If the move week exists, it's number one, though, if you don't have those cards, because it gives you immediate access to a top tier deck, although it is one of the harder decks ever to play, so you need to know that in advance. Again, if you can, with the new system, afford to buy things with tokens, you should be doing so and saving keys to get that extra marginal value and turning your keys into tokens. Cool? I would also consider skipping for down the line, even a good card if it's not completely broken and must have immediately. And they very rarely release. It's been months since they've done a completely broken must have immediately card. Sam Wilson, but like even before that, I guess Bullseye was the last really, really great card they released, and that was January. So if they release a completely broken must get card, get it however you need to. But if everything ends up just good, you can end up skipping it, waiting for the new system, and seeing if things get cheaper. Things won't get more expensive, and you can always just use the keys that you would have used for them on tokens to buy them. Unless you need more than one card. If you need 2 Series 5 cards, then all of a sudden, I think it might be worth using your tokens again. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. If it doesn't, please ask a question in the comments and I will get back to you. That's it. Certain tier support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. First, thank you to Absolute Shannon, our patron of the month. Then Abigail Kiesland, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., I Am Frostman, Hota Navarrete, Thinking Poker, Prime Ryan, Ryan Burke, Orion Wood, Caretix Lee, Quere, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Perofros, The Goat Seeker, Hallowed, Nightmare, Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, thank you so much for going wild today, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Extra C and Skippy G, our rhyming friends, Jessica Gamble, Mr. Slush Death, The King of Bros, Bro, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kevzy Hoda, Luna Chris, Not Snow Chris, Glam, Colonel Foreman, Bricks to Click, Rob Zimmerman, David G. Wingfield, M. Holland, Stephen, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Starry, Matt V., Ren Wrench, Corbin, John Q and Jim McHugh, Cube Town, Ye Stout, 8th Sage, One Big Man, Milkman for Reals, Cactus Jack, BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decision, Mod, Supreme Models, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fuzzy Knot, Spectrumix, Hoot, Oculars, Matt H, DJ, Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Nick the Greek Geek, Zodrex, the King of Canada, Den Man Falcon, Father Newman, Jonesy, Two Tides, The Grim Lord Evs, The Pirate King Tucker, and of course Gunny T. All of this stands for there's a second video. The podcast will actually be up later today, I'm pretty sure. And after that, tomorrow, we're going to look at my most successful decks this past season. That's it. That's what I got for you. I'll see you tomorrow and later, and then on streams. Peace.